Good morning. Now we discuss with critical current. The previous session we have discussed about the critical current. We know that if the current exceeds a critical value of current IC, the superconductivity vanishes. It is due to the effect that if the current increases, the surface magnetic field of the superconductor increases. Okay. If that surface magnetic field, surface magnetic intensity exceeds the critical magnetic field. If that HI if the value of HI exceeds the critical magnetic field, the material will go normal. Okay. Now, if we externally applying another field H, it is applied as transverse field, it will also be a reason for vanishing of the superconductivity. The condition is that if the contribution of the applied magnetic field and the surface magnetic field is sum of these two combination exceeds the critical magnetic field, then also the superconductivity vanishes. This is the condition. The condition for transition to the normal state at the surface is that the sum of the applied field and the field due to the current should be equal to the critical field, or H is equal to HI plus 2H. Okay. And here the surface magnetic field HI is IC divided by 2 pi r. Here we have to obtain an expression for critical current. Then we evaluate HC from here. Sorry, HI from here. HI must be equal to what? HI must be equal to HC minus 2H. Okay. HI is equal to HC minus 2H. That is equal to IC divided by 2 pi r. Okay. Then we can write IC is equal to 2 pi r into HC minus 2H. IC is equal to 2 pi r into HC minus 2H. Then look at the expression. Okay. When the value of H increases, what will occur? The value of IC will decrease. When the applied magnetic field increases, the critical current must decrease. Okay. This is known as Silsby's rules. That is, the critical current will decrease linearly with increase of applied field until it reaches 0 at H is equal to Hc by 2. When Ic will be 0, this term becomes 0, or Hc is equal to 2H, or when Hc is equal to 2H, H must be equal to Hc by 2. This is known as Silsby's rule. I have pointed that this is also asked in the previous question paper. Okay. And if the field is applied field is 0, if H is 0, what will be the expression for critical current? Ic must be equal to 2 pi r into Hc. It can be obtained from this quantity. Okay. Ic is equal to 2 pi r into Hi. For critical quantity, Hi must be equal to Hc. Okay. Then if the applied field is 0, Ic must be equal to 2 pi r into Hc. This is an important equation. Problems may be asked related to that. In the previous question paper, some question asked related to this one, this equation. Only the direct substitution. Okay. Then the critical current Ic is equal to 2 pi r into Hc. Now we discuss the famous Messner effect. This effect is discovered by Messner and Oschenfeld in 1933. The previous session, we have mentioned Messner effect, that is the magnetic field does not penetrate into the superconductor. Or we can say that perfect diamagnetism. Diamagnetic substance, there is no magnetic field. So Messner effect is the metallic superconductors expels the magnetic flux as the superconductor was cooled below the transition temperature in an external magnetic field. Okay. I repeat, the metallic superconductors expels the magnetic field as the superconductor was cooled below the transition temperature Tc in an external magnetic field. That means the magnetic field lines are excluded from the superconductor when it is below its transition temperature. This can be explained in two ways. Okay, one of the ways is that this perfect diamagnetism in the superconductor arises because the surface screening current circulates so as to produce a flux density which everywhere inside the metal exactly cancels the flux density due to the applied field. When we discussing the critical current, we have discussed about surface magnetic field. That is due to the current. Okay. So if the surface screening current circulate so as to produce a magnetic field density which everywhere inside the metal exactly cancels the flux density due to the applied field. Okay, we know that we applied an external magnetic field. Okay, then that applied magnetic field and the field due to the current, surface current, they are equal and opposite. Or BA, the externally applied field must be equal to BA must be equal to minus BI. Then the total effect must be equal to 0. Okay. This is the pictorial representation of Meissner effect in the normal state, or T greater than Tc and H greater than Hc. The magnetic field penetrate through the superconducting material, and when the temperature is reduced, or the superconducting material is cooled, the magnetic flux lines expelled out. This is Meissner effect. The another explanation of Meissner effect is that the perfect diamagnetism arises from the some bulk magnetic property of superconductor such that a superconducting metal mu r, or the relative permeability, is 0, so that the magnetic flux density in the superconductor is equal to 0. B is equal to mu r into BA. Mu r is equal to 0, then B must be equal to 0. The strength of magnetizing field HA is given by HA is equal to BA divided by mu 0. This is the externally applied magnetic field strength. Okay, HA is equal to BA divided by mu 0, where mu 0 is the permeability of the free space outside the superconducting material. The flux density in the magnetic material is given by B is equal to mu 0 HA plus M. And here we know that B is equal to what? B is equal to 0, where M is the magnetization and HA is the magnetic field strength. And we know that B is equal to 0 here. Then that means in this expression, B is equal to 0, or HA plus M must be equal to 0. That means M must be equal to minus HA. Look at these quantities. This is when we taking the ratio of these quantities, that is M divided by H. It is the susceptibility. Okay, then the susceptibility is equal to M divided by HA is equal to minus 1. We know that for a diamagnetic material, susceptibility is negative. Okay, and the maximum value of the susceptibility is -1. Okay, then it is the maximum value of susceptibility, or we can say that a superconducting material is perfect diamagnet. In this sense, a superconductor is a perfect diamagnet. This is the explanation of Meissner effect. Meissner effect is very important when we dealing with superconductivity. Next is isotope effect. This isotope effect dealing with superconductivity. In the spectroscopy also we have discussed isotope effect, isotopic substitution effect. Okay, and here in this case it is observed that the critical temperature of superconductors varies with isotopic masses. This is isotopic effect. That is, the critical temperature of the superconductor varies with isotopic mass. This is observed by Maxwell in 1950. So isotope effect is that the critical temperature of the superconductor varies with isotopic mass. That is, the critical temperature is proportional to some powers of mass. Maxwell observed that the transition temperature of, or the critical temperature of mercury changes from 4.185 Kelvin to 4.146 Kelvin as the isotopic mass M varies from 199.5 to 203.4. If the mass changes up to this one, the transition temperature changes from 4.185 to 4.146. When analyzing this data, it is observed that Tc is proportional to m raised to minus half. In some books, it is written that Tc proportional to m raised to minus beta, where beta is called as isotopic coefficient, and that value is 0.5. Okay, it is a similar one, or Tc proportional to m raised to minus half, or we can write it as Tc into m raised to half is equal to a constant. This is also an important equation. In many years, many previous years question paper contain problems related to this one, related to this mercury. Okay, when the temperature of mercury increases from 199.5 to 203, what changes occur from the transition temperature of mercury at 4.185 Kelvin. So many years the same question asked. Okay, So it is important relation, that is Tc m raised to half is equal to a constant, or Tc proportional to m raised to minus half. The isotopic mass can enter in the process of formation of superconducting phase of the electron state only through electron phonon interaction. Next, we discuss the energy gap. The energy gap in insulators is tied to the lattice. And the energy gap in the case of superconductors are attached to the Fermi gas. The current flow despite the presence of a gas in the case of superconductors. That means we know that when a current flows through a conductor, or to a conduction take place in an insulator, the electron must have overcome the energy gap. In the insulator's case, the energy gap will be very higher. Okay. But in the case of semiconductor, the current flow does not depend on the energy gap. Current flow despite the presence of a gap. The energy gap has no effect upon the behavior of special electron that carry current in superconduction. Superconductor contains normal electrons as well as it is the electrons that are affected by the gap. We know that superconductors contain normal electrons and also the super electron. Only the super electrons flows despite of the presence of gap, but the normal electron that are affected by the energy gap. The normal electron must overcross the energy gap. This is the figure of the energy gap in the case of a superconductor. Okay. Then we can see that the energy gap varies with temperature, unlike in insulator and semiconductor. Okay. Here in some regions it is constant. Okay. Then this is here Tc is the critical temperature. Then at T is equal to Tc, up to that quantity, this varies like this. It is different from insulators and semiconductors. The energy gap is maximum at 0 Kelvin and continuously goes to 0 as the temperature increased to Tc. At T is equal to Tc, all the superconducting electrons become normal electrons. This is the expression for energy gap, Eg, that is equal to 2 delta, or that is equal to 2b kBt. Here 2b is some constant parameters, okay, or that is obtained as it is equal to 3.5. Okay, then 2b is about 3.5. Then we can say that the gap decreases from a value 3.5 kBt. Here the value of 2b is equal to kBt. Sorry, 2b is equal to 3.5. Then 2 delta, or the energy gap, is equal to 2b kb Tc. Okay. So the gap decreases from a value of 3.5 kb Tc at 0 Kelvin to 0 at the transition temperature. At the maximum point, it must have a value 3.5 kb Tc, where kb is the Boltzmann's constant. Next is the coherence length. When we discussing about Cooper pair, we have said that the Cooper pair moves through the lattice without scattering, or we can say that the paired electrons are not affected by the lattice vibration, so they never exchange energy. So the maximum distance up to which the state of pair of electrons are correlated to produce superconductivity is called coherence length, or the length up to which the Cooper pair can move without disruption. That length is known as coherence length. So the coherence length is the maximum distance up to which the state of pair of electron are correlated to produce superconductivity. It is in the order of 10 raised to -6 meters. So we can express the coherence length as, just look at the line. The Cooper pair of electrons can maintain the coupled motion up to a certain distance among the lattice points in a superconductor called coherence length. Cooper pair of electrons can maintain the coupled motion up to a certain distance among the lattice points in a superconductor called coherence length. This is found to be in the order of 10 raised to -6 meter. The coherence length is related to the energy gap. It is given by epsilon 0 is equal to h cross Vf divided by 2 delta, where Vf is the Fermi velocity. Okay, 2 delta is the energy gap, where 2 2 delta is the energy gap, and Vf is the Fermi velocity. So it is the relation between coherence length and energy gap. Epsilon 0 is equal to h cross Vf divided by 2 delta